Today I'm gonna build some habitats for LEGO Minifigure from the recent CMF Spider-Verse series. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I recently picked up a couple of minifigures from the Spider-Verse series. I got Miles Morales with this suit and a Sun Spider, which is another very interesting character. I didn't get the full series, but I got these two, so I thought maybe I can build something out of those movies. So let's start with Miles first. So we're gonna move these two on the side. And my first idea was to build the room that he had in the first movie. It was a little bit challenging here because somehow in my region I couldn't find the movies anymore on Netflix or on Disney anywhere. So I couldn't go and rewatch the scene again. So I just had to look a little bit at some concept art, a little bit on YouTube. So I couldn't rewatch the two movies again. Anyway, here I'm gonna try to build the room from the first movie. So what I did is create some little bit of furniture over here. We have some uh, pieces of papers on the floor, and I extended one stud over here on the side, and later I will show you why. I have a little desk build here, pretty simple and straightforward. The bottom side here is gonna touch the ground because I'm using a bracket, but it still kind of works. I saw some images with this desk with two screen on it, so I managed to add two inverted tiles to have two screens over there in the corner. Another little cabinet over here, a little bit deeper, a little bit bigger, so it creates a little bit of interesting texture and depth in the scene. A printed tile, some sort of figurine over there, and then a bedside table over here on the side with some blue drawers. These are more or less some features that I saw in the images I was looking for. As for the wall, I wanted to create two windows. Over here on this side, very simple and straightforward. I have a simple window over here. I'm missing one bracket over here at the bottom for the second part, just because I don't have any more in my collection, but it will be covered by this screen over there, so it's not gonna make a huge difference anyway. This is gonna connect like so, and now we have an interesting window with some sort of curtains on top and a board there where some notes are attached. Another window like that one will be built over here, but I'm very low on this type of color parts, or I mean I'm not low, but I don't have the parts that I need. So I had to work around it with a lot of snot techniques, and this will make the whole structure not very solid and also not very nicely finished on the side. But again, this is just because that's all I have available in my collection. For example, here I wanted to add, like in the images I was looking for, some kind of photo or some kind of paper on the wall. But then I only have these these knot bricks with studs on two sides, which make it a little bit harder than to build. So here we have the glass. The bottom part is actually open, so I make it look like the window is a little bit open. And then I have a different part here for the curtain on top. I think the clock's supposed to be over here on top, but I took the liberty to move it on the side just to fill up that side a little bit better. And now, of course, you can see that everything is connected only on this stud over here and not on the other side. Again, this is because these are the parts that I have available, but anyway, it kind of worked. Now, in the middle, I made one of these chairs on wheels that I can see in that images that is going to be right here in the middle, connected over there to that pin, and I think it kind of works well. And over on this side I need to add a bunk bed. It's not a very great design, again short on the part that I was looking for, but again it still works. There's two bunk bed, a little bit of details for some bed sheet and pillows, and this is going to connect over here, and it works. Now you can see why I had to extend a little bit, because I think the bunk bed was a key feature in the room, so I had to add it, but it was taking a lot of space, and this is already a very small bunk bed if you compare it to a minifigure, but I think the scene is kind of recognizable. Now I want to add Miles to this scene, so I think I'm gonna put this mask over here on the bed on top. Maybe we can give him an accessory, maybe he's on his phone, calling a friend. And then I thought the best way to add Miles without blocking the view of the scene is to have him hanging off the wall. So I'm gonna add him over there with one hand over there. And I think it's a scene that kind of makes sense considering his spider power. So I think this is a quite interesting scene. Next up, I wanted to create the room from the second movie. Over here I extended a little bit at the back with this sort of wedge plate, because the feature of this room that it has a like kind of corner window with three sides. So I have this one connector to a jumper. Again, not the best techniques, but because I had to work with the parts that I have available, especially in the colors that I choose to work, because I wanted to create every room a little bit different. On the side, I'm using these hinge plates so that everything align well. There is a couple of gaps on top, but again, once this is all closed, you will not be able to see. I'm not too sure about these curtains here that I'm connected with some brackets, but they kind of work in giving that idea. You can see I have a little bit of the same design for the windows, just a little bit smaller. So these are 2x instead of 3x. But these allow me to keep everything in within the space of the habitat. You can see that some colors don't match, but again, from the front here, you're not going to be able to see those color match, and there's no gaps in between the windows. That was my main focus. Over here, I can just add a connection to give a little bit of stability to all of this. And then for the walls on the side, very simple. I connected with some snot bricks a cabinet over here, and then some colorful images that we can see. He has a lot of those in the scene. I was looking at the scene when Gwen come and visit him. I wanted to have all these printed, these I think are from video, these tiles, these printed tiles, to have them a little bit inset. So that's why I'm using some brackets to fill that half gap on top. But it didn't work out on top because then it would be seen on the side. But anyway, I think it's a good enough compromise for this room. Then over here at the back, I need to fill it up with a few things. So I have a little cabinet with a radio on top. I think actually in the scene that I was looking for, there was two different speakers on the side. But at this scale was a little bit difficult to recreate. So here I'm just gonna have this sort of little bookcase with a book inside. Then I thought I can add some more books on the side, just to fill up the scene a little bit. And then I think in the scene I saw also some kind of now I don't have the word for this sort of keyboard, music keyboard, and also a trash bin over there. I built a little another one of those chair with wheels, different color scheme, different parts usage, but quite similar in design to the one that I did over there. Over here, I have to create a bed. Again, the space is very small, so I created a very small and pocket bed, not in scale with the minifigure, but again, it makes the scene more recognizable because that's where he would lay down. I added here a luggage to fill up that white space, another kind of action figure here on top, and then over here I built a little bedside table with a phone, an handphone on top. Now the last thing I wanted to add, actually two things, a little bit of color there because in the room there's a lot of boxes and stuff, so this will make it a little bit more chaotic, which I think makes sense. In the movie here we have a sort of a drawing board kind of thing, so I create this little structure over here. The connection here is not very good, but I wanted to come down with a skinny part, so that's illegal connection over there. I have a printed tile with a little bit of extra color that I think it fits well the type of scene that we are looking for, and then this is gonna be over here. So I think this kind of represent well the scene. If I want to add Miles to this scene as well, then I thought the best way to do it, again to not block the view, is to have him wearing his suit, and I added a bracket at the back over here so that we can have him poke in the room from outside the window. I think it's also pretty nice, interesting scene. I don't have Gwen looking outside of the window. I don't have the minifigure, but I think this works well as well. Now, before closing down, I thought I have the Sun Spider, and I really don't know what to do with this because I don't have any comics or concept art to look at. I only found a short video on YouTube where there was this chase where Sun Spider also appears. So I created this sort of white kind of scene. With those minifigure, I also have this spider that I thought could be added over here to create a little bit of color, because in these scenes then we have a lot of different types of Spider-Mans going around. So I wanted to use this interesting transclear stand that come with a minifigure. So I create this passageway, which is the one where Miles is, let's say, running away for on top of this, and this will be connected over here. This is probably was supposed to be bigger, but this is all I can do to make it fit into an habitat. Okay, so this doesn't clash with anything. A little bit of details over here, a little bit of plant. There's a sitting area over here because in the scene I was looking at, there were different of these scenes, and then just some different lines at the back to create the idea of all these different passageway and bridges that goes into this scene. I need to get Miles back and make it run away on this bridge. In the scene I was looking at, he was actually running riding a horse. I tried that, but the horse is way too big for the space that we have in a minifigure habitat. So I'm just gonna connect Miles like this, running away, and then I wanna have the Sun Spider coming down from let's say the roof, I mean the bottom of another bridge on top. This is the scene that I created, and actually Sun Spider is on a wheelchair that kind of transform and get also some like spider looking legs coming out. So the only wheelchair I have in my collection is this yellow one that comes, I think, from an Avatar set. I try to find all the possible connection point to make it look like all these legs, these sort of tentacles are coming off this wheelchair, and then I want to have this connected like so on top of the scene, and then having Sun Spider, which by the way has a very, very cool printed head, coming off, flying, and then trying to attack Miles. I'm also using this piece to get a sort of spider web coming out of his stretches over here. This is gonna connect, or I have to say air stretches, I think is a female character. Anyway, I need to find a connection point at the back over here, something like so. Just give me a second. There we go. So here is the scene. Maybe I should change up the camera a little bit so I can show you a little bit better. It's a really difficult. It was a small scene to look at and to get inspiration from. It was also a bit abstract, so a little bit difficult to represent, but I thought I would give it a try to build something for Sun Spider, because again, I didn't have the full movies, and I didn't find much concept art or reference images about this character. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the scene that I created, in particular with the two room. Again, they're not perfect design, but that's the best I could do with the parts available in my collection at the moment. Anyway, let me know if you like these habitats. On screen now you can find the link to my playlist of minifigure habitat. I have a lot of those, and I also recommend you to go and watch the Spider-Verse movies because are really, really good. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Ciao, ciao.